Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
It's not the greatest country in the world.
Finally, really did it. You maniac! I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore! You bring them death, and they will love him for it.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Hello, friends and enemies, and welcome to another episode of Recovery from Politics Podcast. I am your host, Kyle Frame, and today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. I saw the most dystopian nightmare article I have ever read yesterday, posted in Forbes just a few days ago, written by William Arruda, A-R-R-U-D-A, entitled, quote, Why Polyworking is the Future of Work and How to Become a Polyworker. So, polyworking is the new focus grouped industry term for working multiple jobs at the same time just to pay for bills. And this article lists all the pros for employees as well as reasons why employers should not try to discourage working multiple jobs. It's so ridiculous. Reasons polyworking is popular. Per this article, is increasing income and job security, building new skills and professional growth, personal fulfillment and reduced job burnout, networking opportunities, autonomy and flexibility, and finally, creativity. Yes, every DoorDash driver I've ever met is eager to network with me and every other person who ordered Chinese takeout that night. Increased income is a lie because most of the people working multiple jobs at the pleasure of apps like aforementioned DoorDash or Grubhub, they don't get shit generally. Their vehicle, their time, their labor is all on the line, and they usually don't get actual pay from these sites. If you don't tip, they don't see a dime. And again, I don't know how working retail or as a delivery driver teaches you any skills or allows for professional growth. Flexibility is especially laughable because you're trading your free time to another employer. Polyworking is not defined as you starting your own business somewhere. You are not becoming an entrepreneur. You're just selling your labor to someone else. But here's the final paragraph if you're interested. Their conclusion, quote, The number of professionals adopting this work style will increase in the coming years. This shift is likely to be influenced by AI-driven efficiencies and a workforce in search of deeper meaning and joy in their careers, end quote. The entire thing is written as if workers had any choice in the matter. It's entirely optional, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. There is no cons section for this thing. All of it is presented as a positive. It doesn't mention you selling your labor to begin with for unlivable wages. It doesn't mention the rising cost of housing. It doesn't suggest what to do with workers who just want to do their 9 to 5 and go home. And even that last sentence is telling. A workforce in search of deeper meaning and joy in their careers. They're kind of admitting a lot of workplaces suck and do not provide deeper meaning and joy to workers. But it's okay. Employers don't have to fix that now. If you're not finding deeper meaning working your 40 hours here, you can just get a side hustle somewhere else. Find joy and meaning there. This is coming down the pipe whether we want it or not. Excuse me. Through Reaganomics, we essentially got policy that did nothing for our wages but opened up multiple lines of credit to American households. I imagine sooner rather than later that the next great Republican policy experiment for us will be Americans don't need a livable wage, they need more opportunities to work. And we will get that policy from the Orange God King himself soon enough. Even if the almighty cheeseburger finally does a number on his arteries, J.D. Vance certainly thinks the same thing. People focus on JD's social positions, which are nightmarish enough, but his policies on workers and their families are just as horrific. So, what do we do about the incoming worker apocalypse knocking on our doors? If you're an optimist, you can work to primary the living shit out of every incumbent Democrat. The party may have 2 or 3 congressional bright spots, but right now there is a large chance they're going to try and run John fucking Fetterman for president in 2028. And you have Elizabeth Warren in the Senate practically begging do-nothing Chuck Schumer to fucking do anything in the final weeks leading up to our collective doom. The party is rotten to its core. So, primary them. If you're an optimist, the least you can get is a concession or two from the incumbents to work more towards leftist positions and ideals. If you're lucky, you might even unseat the bastards. Then there is organizing, marching. The Orange God King may be anti-union, but you can at least make his life harder by increasing the size and number of unions in your district. Talk to your friends, family, and coworkers. Get the ball rolling. But what if you're not an optimist like me? What can or should you do? Well, I plan to bend over, grab my ankles, and scream into the void. In other news, The Hill is publishing this morning that Trump is planning on flexing in the Senate immediately. He is already asking the Senate to step aside and just go into recess so he can recess appoint his entire cabinet and all the judges available to him. I'll take a little "I told you so" bow to Democrats who screamed, "No, if you pack the courts and end the filibuster, the Republicans will ram through their agenda next time they're in power." Surprise, assholes! Your kindness to fascists will not be reciprocated. Really? Good thing we didn't expand the Supreme Court or eliminate the filibuster so we could get the child tax credit, could be made permanent. That really could have come back to bite us in the next election. You fucking morons. And the amazing thing is, voters want this. They do. You think they don't. They really do. All of us do, really. Voters want, when they give you power, for you to fucking use it. This dependency on polling really, really irks me. Every single time someone does a poll, an incredibly high number of participants say, "We want the two sides to work together, and we just hate it when one party rams through an agenda." Except that never seems to translate at the ballot box. No one has ever lost an election because they win it alone and didn't consult the other side, okay? In 2008, we gave Obama a 60-seat supermajority in the Senate, and he half-assed the recovery from the '08 crash, then half-assed healthcare reform. When he lost the 2010 midterms, the Democratic thinking was, "Wow, we really overreached there. The American people didn't like that." That wasn't the fucking case at all. Democratic voters stayed home because, for fuck's sake, we gave you a supermajority and you did not deliver. Imagine Mitch McConnell with a 60-vote supermajority in the Senate. You see what he was able to do with only 51 votes. I shudder to think of the damage he could have done if you gave him 60. Same thing happened with Biden just now. He had two paths. He could do nothing seen as radical or divisive, just standard bipartisan infrastructure bills, govern like a centrist, probably win re-election, or he could take the highly divisive road, eliminate the filibuster, regulate social media companies and misinformation, pack the Supreme Court to give it a one-vote majority over the corrupt conservatives, and prosecute the living dog shit out of Trump immediately. You'd likely lose the midterms and re-election. That was the primary thinking going into 2021. I disagree. I think Democratic voters stayed home last week and during the midterms because what the fuck is the point of giving Democrats control of anything when they don't do anything with it? Recall when that liberal radical FDR decided, "I'm going to be as radical and fucking crazy as I can." And do you remember the voters punished him for that? No! They re-elected that womanizing cousin fucker 3 more times. This unproven concept that you have to govern from the center only seems to apply to the Democratic Party. Republicans right now ran on a very extreme agenda with a presidential candidate who said he'd suspend the Constitution, be a dictator to get shit done. They were rewarded for that. 16 years of watching Democrats poo-poo the levers of power and be Mitch McConnell's bitches in the Senate have trained the American voter that all a vote for Democrats is a vote for the status quo, when no one wants the status quo. We don't want chaos. We just want change, and there are ways to create change without creating chaos. It's been done before. No one considers FDR's New Deal an agent of chaos. It gave stability and change to an already chaotic nation. I've said this before, the thing Democrats missed the most when it came to analyzing Trump and his stupid, idiotic voters is this image of him as a fighter. He fights for us, and he'll tell you, "I fight for you." None of it's fucking true. Through Trump's actions, it's very clear to anyone willing to see it, he doesn't give one Kentucky fried shit about anyone but himself. But the throngs of his cult will swear this man fights for them. It's the most powerful part of his entire mirage, that he fights. Democrats do not fight. Biden spent 4 straight years saying Trump and MAGA Republicans were an existential threat to the very fabric of our society. Within 24 hours of the election, he congratulated Trump and invited him to the White House while promising him a seamless transition. Never mind this is an act of kindness only extended to Trump, never from him. During times like these, historically, people seek out radical change. It can come in many forms. I feel very validated that America was lucky in the 1930s. We got FDR, Germany was the one to get Hitler. I have always believed we were lucky that was the thing. And I believe now more than ever, if the two were born on opposite sides of the Atlantic Ocean, America would have eagerly voted in Adolf Hitler. Democrats in my lifetime have failed to live up to this moment. They failed to seize the chaos by the throat and fundamentally change things for the better. Would there have been a backlash if Biden packed the court and gave us all child tax credits and ended student loan debt? Hindsight being what it is, we know his half-assed weak approach ended with this country re-electing a fascist anyway. And even if we did get fascism anyway, at least he fought. At least we would all go down swinging.
End of line.